Hello friends, welcome to my English classroom. Today we will start a new lesson from your first flight book. The name of the chapter is Nelson Mandela Long Walk to Freedom. So from the title you can easily understand what the story is all about. Long Walk to Freedom. Long walk stands for a long journey. To freedom means to attain freedom, to achieve freedom. So it's a long walk or long journey to achieve freedom. So who is achieving freedom here? Here Nelson Mandela along with the black people of South Africa. They have a long journey to attain their freedom. So today we will discuss about the author, background of the story, summary, theme, and message of the story. So let's first come to the author's background. So in this section, I have tried to put the information about the author in a chronological order. So let's start about the author. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela was born into the Madiba clan in the village of Vejo in the Eastern Cape, South Africa on 18th July 1918. So first you should know that Nelson was not the original name of Mandela. His original name was Rolihlahla, but his teacher gave Nelson as the Christian name or the English name. So now he is known for Nelson Mandela. So he was born into the Madiba clan. What is a clan? Clan is a group of people who are descended from a common ancestor. And where he was born in the Eastern Cape of South Africa in 18 July 1918. He belonged to the Thembu royal family. So he was not a kind of underprivileged person. He belonged to a royal family of Thembu. So he was a privileged person, we can say. Mandela studied law and became one of South Africa's first black lawyers. In the 1950s, he was elected leader of the youth wing of the African National Congress Liberation Movement. So what is the need of this? Why did he join ANC? Why was he elected as youth leader? Because at that time, the black people of South Africa were suffering from the problem of apartheid. Okay? And due to this apartheid, all people were exploited by the whites. Now, what is apartheid? Apartheid is a kind of discrimination. Discrimination of race on the basis of color of skin. Okay, so here the black people of South Africa were discriminated, were exploited on the basis of their color of skin. That's why Mandela joined the African National Congress. But he did not have any problem because he belonged to a good family. He had a good family background. So when the government run by the whites prohibited the ANC for racial reasons, because it was formed by the blacks, that's why Mandela organized a secret military movement against apartheid. Now you come to know about apartheid. So he started a kind of military movement, armed movement, you can say. Then Mandela was imprisoned from 1962 up to 1990 for treason and conspiracy. Okay, so what is treason? To betray the government, and conspiracy, to conspire against the government. He was put to jail, put behind the bars, and he was sentenced to life in prison. So sentenced for the whole life in prison. Then while he was in prison, Mandela was a symbol of unity among the oppressed in South Africa who were fighting for rights against apartheid. So when Mandela was in prison, the black people of South Africa were not disheartened. They did not become hopeless or pessimistic. But Mandela's being in prison gave them hope. Okay, it is this kind of symbol of unity. They united together and they, you can say, they were fighting for the rights against the apartheid system. Then he was released from jail in 1990 after serving prison for 27 years when the ANC became legal again. So in the year 1990, ANC became legal again. So he was released in that year after 27 years of serving in jail. Then Mandela received the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993 for peacefully destroying the apartheid regime. Regime means kingdom, apartheid kingdom, and laying the foundation for democracy. So he lay the foundation stone for the democracy there. Okay, so peacefully he fought against the apartheid. That's why he was given the Nobel Peace Prize. And in 1994, he became the first black president of South Africa. Very important, mark it. And the first president to be elected in a fully representative election. So he became the first president, black president of South Africa in 1994 by the process of election with full representative. Okay, so this is the background of the author. This is the journey, actually, journey of the author Nelson Mandela. Very briefly I tried to put all these things together. Now we will come to the background of the story. This story is taken from or is an extract from the autobiography of Nelson Mandela. The name of the autobiography is Long Walk to Freedom. So Nelson Mandela wrote an autobiography. Okay, the name of the autobiography is Long Walk to Freedom. From there, this chapter has been taken. Now, what is autobiography? An autobiography is an account of a person's life written by the person himself or herself. So here Nelson Mandela himself has written the biography or the account of himself. In this extract from his autobiography, Mandela speaks about a historic occasion. The occasion is the inauguration. Now, what is inauguration? Inauguration is a ceremony to mark the beginning or introduction of something. So, what kind of introduction or beginning is here? Let's see. It was the inauguration of the first democratic government in South Africa, in which Mandela sworn in as the first black president of the nation after more than 3 centuries of white rule. So more than 300 years the whites ruled there. After that, first black president was Mandela. It was the first elected government in South Africa. It took place in the Union Buildings Amphitheatre in Pretoria on 10th May 1994. So, it took place, all the ceremony took place in the amphitheatre of Pretoria. Now, what is amphitheatre? It's a kind of hall or auditorium without a roof, with many rows of seats rising in steps, step by step. In Pretoria, so Pretoria, is the administrative capital of South Africa. South Africa has 3 capitals. So among them, Pretoria is the administrative capital. So on 10th May 1994, mark this date, very important. It was the inauguration day of South Africa's first elected government. It was the day of Nelson Mandela's becoming president of South Africa. Now, we will come to the summary of the story. So, I have put the things in order. So, here in the beginning, Nelson Mandela swears in as the first black president of South Africa on 10th May 1994. The swearing in ceremony took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheatre in Pretoria. He addressed the rainbow gathering with a jest, telling that never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. Underline this sentence, very important. So he said that in this land, in future, in the time to come, no one will be there to oppress other, and no one will be oppressed by others. He wants to take a pledge here, and the citizens also want to take a pledge. And he also addressed that the rainbow gathering, very important, means gathering of all colors, of all kinds of people throughout the world. They had come to that place. So he actually expressed his concept of equality to all, that no one will be considered as inferior and no one as superior. That's why he said, never in this beautiful land one will experience the oppression by the other. Then he wished that freedom in Africa should reign. Freedom in every respect, in every way, in Africa should reign, should rule. Then the army officials who could have caught him, he said, Mandela said that the army officials who could have caught him and put him in jail before that election or before the freedom, now were saluting him to pay respect to the newly born democracy. Means the people are now all changing. They all are they all are hoping for a new kind of government, a new kind of country or nation where only the freedom reign. Again, after that, the two national anthems were sung at the time of his swearing in ceremony. It is very important for this chapter that two national anthems were sung, one for the blacks and another for the whites. Again, the concept of equality. So, two anthems were sung only for the sake of equality in every respect, that both the people are equal in that country. He recalls back the history and pays homage to the national martyrs who sacrificed their lives for the sake of their motherland. So he again recalls the history. He went to the history and pays respect. Homage means to show respect or honor to those people, those martyrs who laid their life for the country, who sacrificed their lives for the country, for the motherland. He pays homage or respect to them. Then he tells that the martyrs were the men of extraordinary courage and wisdom and generosity. So the martyrs who sacrificed their lives for the country were extraordinary, not ordinary, extraordinary, with full of courage, energy, full of wisdom, full of knowledge, and generosity, full of kindness and generosity. He also said the country of South Africa is rich in minerals and gems. You all know the South Africa is rich in minerals and gems. But Mandela said that the greatest wealth of country is its people, the human resource. In every country, the greatest wealth is the human being or human resource. If they are united, they can achieve every goal. If they are divided, every goal will be unattained or unachieved. We cannot get anything. That's why he said they are the real gem and real wealth of his country. Only for them, the freedom, they could get the freedom. Then he tells, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. It's a very important point for you that when we hate others, we should know, whenever we come into a relationship, the first emotion that we have about that person is love, not hate. So, how we start hating others? What is the possible reason? It is about some prejudice that is prevailed in the society. The society makes you aware that this thing is to be hated and this thing is to be loved. This person is to be hated and this person is to be loved, like this. Similarly, so in due course, the society, everything will make you learn to hate. But the first feeling you have about any person in your life is love, not hatred. That's why he said, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin, his background, or his religion. So, on the basis of skin color, or background, or religion, we do not hate the person from the beginning. We are made to hate due to some prejudice. And if people learn to hate, he said, they can be taught to love too. As love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. As I have said, that people learn to hate, then it is very easy, it is even easier to learn love or to teach love, because love is more natural than the hatred to come to your heart. And it says that man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never exhausted. Here he says that goodness is a flame that cannot be exhausted. Means the goodness of you is always inside your soul, inside your heart. But sometimes the hatred or the badness, you can say, that it gets superior to the goodness. That's why the goodness is hidden. Here he gives an example of a jailer who, even during the you can say exploitation in jail of Mandela, while Mandela was in jail, so even during that exploitation, a jailer was, even for a second, he showed some kind of love to Mandela. So from this, Mandela extracted the conclusion that goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never exhausted. He cannot exhaust it. He cannot exhaust. He talks about the twin obligations. First, the obligation towards his family, and second, the obligation towards his nation. It's very important for you that whenever you have obligation for your family, you are obliged to serve your family, you cannot serve the nation better. And if you are completely dedicated to serve the nation, then you will not be able to serve your family. So the twin obligations, the two obligations, twofold obligations you can say, they cannot be served together. So you have to give up one obligation to serve the another. That's why he said that he did not serve his family, but he served the nation. So first he realized the twin obligations. Because while discharging his duties, he slowly realized that he was not free. So while discharging his duties, he realized that he was not free in this country. He was exploited. His brothers and sisters were exploited. Means his brothers and sisters in the country were exploited. So that's why he chose the obligation towards his nation. Hence, he joined African National Congress and fought for the freedom of his country. So due to this obligation to his country, he joined African National Congress, because as an individual he could not do anything for the country. It needs a platform. That's why he joined ANC and fought for the freedom of the country. He knew that the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. Means, oppressor, who is called oppressor? The person who oppress another person. And who is called oppressed? A person who is oppressed by another person. So here oppressor is, Nelson Mandela said that oppressor must be liberated. How? Because the oppressor is not put in jail or put behind the bars. But yes, he said he must be liberated because he is put behind the bars of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. Only due to that prejudice. What is prejudice? A previous setup of mind about something, a negative thought. So here, the prejudice about the black people and the narrow-mindedness of the oppressor, they are the only reason. That's why they cannot love the blacks. So the oppressor must be liberated from these two things, prejudice and narrow-mindedness, just as surely as the oppressed. So oppressed are in jail, that's why they must be liberated, and oppressor are in the jail of prejudice and narrow-mindedness. They must be liberated. And he also said, the oppressor and oppressed are alike and are robbed of their humanity. Whenever a person is oppressing someone, exploiting someone, means he is devoid of humanity. Okay? If the person has the humanity, he will not exploit another person. That's why it is said that the oppressor is robbed of. Robbed of means someone stole his humanity. Someone has stolen his humanity, it is said. So how can you say the humanity of the oppressed is robbed of or stolen? Because whenever the oppressor exploits the oppressed, then also a kind of inhuman, a kind of hatred that is born inside the heart of the oppressed. That's why it is called that oppressor and the oppressed both are robbed of the humanity. If the oppressor stop oppressing or stop exploiting, then they both can be saved from their robbing of the humanity, from their humanity of being stolen. Because oppressor is the reason for the robbing of humanity of the oppressed. So this is all about the summary of the story. Now you come to know that Nelson Mandela was born in a village named Vizo, in a clan, and was also he also belonged to the royal family, the Thembo royal family, and still he felt that the people of Africa were suffering from apartheid. That's why he joined ANC. He fought for the freedom of his country. Okay, he went to jail for 27 years, long 27 years, and he was liberated, and he won the Nobel Peace Prize, and also he became the first black president of Africa in 1994. And this is all about the story. Now we will come to know the theme of the story. So in this story, 2 or 3 themes are there. First one is that freedom from racism and apartheid. So the lesson pays homage or tribute to those black heroes and patriots of South Africa who continued a relentless struggle against the apartheid or the racist regime, as it is clear from the lesson. Then another important thing is that eradication of social inequality. The inauguration ceremony was attended by dignitaries and politicians of more than 140 countries. What does it symbolize? Through this, Mandela gives a message of peace and unity of mankind, as well as foresees a new regime of equality with no room for racialism and segregation or discrimination in the new order. This is the second theme. Another one is the requirement of unprecedented courage and sacrifice to attain something large. So if you want to attain something large, something great in your life, you have to show the courage, unprecedented, that cannot be compared. So you require a kind of uncomparable, unprecedented courage and sacrifice to attain something large. So this lesson shows you the same thing, the never yielding courage and the sacrifice of South African heroes attain their long cherished freedom. This is the theme of the story. The 3 points you must remember: freedom from racism and apartheid. Second theme, eradication of social inequality. And third theme, requirement of unprecedented courage and sacrifice to attain something large. Now I will come to the message of the story. Yes. So there are mainly 3 messages. First is how important and valuable freedom is to people. Yes. If you are free, you cannot know the value of freedom. If you put to a place where you are not free, then you will realize that what is freedom. The same thing happened to African people. We also, as Indians, we know the history of India, that how the freedom fighters of India, they struggled to death for attaining freedom. So because they were not free to do anything of their wish in the country, that's why it was a valuable and important thing to attain for them. Second is very important. We should never discriminate or hate others because of their individual, social, cultural or religious differences. As we all know, everyone on earth is unique. Everyone has some unique quality. Everyone has some different quality. So, we cannot be similar in every respect. Sometimes we are different in our individual characteristics, sometimes in our social characteristics, sometimes our cultural background, sometimes our religious background. So we should not hate the people only because that they belong to some different background. They have some differences with us. We should not hate them. We should not make a kind of barrier between us as a kind of superior and inferior class. We should not do this. So this is a good message that we get from this story. And third thing is that do not learn to hate, learn how to love others. So do not learn to hate, learn how to love others, because as Mandela said, love is more natural than the hate. So first you should learn love before learning hate. So do not learn to hate, learn love. So that's all about today's class. In the next class we will discuss we'll explain the story line by line with complete word meanings, and we will focus on the important lines of the story. We will discuss about them. And if you have any doubt about this video, about this class, you can comment and ask your doubt. And if you like this video, please share my video and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.